Thanks, Jose, for this opportunity. Excellencies, dignitaries, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed an apt theme to discuss because, when more than 50% of the global population is going to be urban during the days to come, I think it is necessary that the cities are made sustainable. Modern technologies are used to make the cities sustainable. And unlike Europe, where the cityscape doesn't change over decades and decades or even hundreds and hundreds of years, in this part of the world we are too dynamic because the cityscape keeps on changing. So, basically, we are all aware of the UN Sustainable Development Goal, number 11. Target for 2030 is to make cities and human settlements for all, actually. Of course, every sentence the UN uses, for all and sustainable. Those words removed. Basically, housing and basic services, what is generally talked about, which has to be sustainable. Transportation systems, then should be accessible by all with special focus on women, disabled, elderly, children and all. And cultural and natural heritages are to be preserved. Environmental impact is very, very important because while the other dimensions of the changing cityscape is so clearly seen by everybody, the environment impact is a slow killer actually. It is realized much later. So access to safe, green and public areas for all, then the economic, social dimensions, and of course it also says that those countries or those institutions who could afford should be supporting, the least developed countries, and that is what disaster risk reduction has come to much focus after the Sendai framework 2015 to 2030. If you get into slightly more detail, there are specific dimensions to sustainable cities or sustainable urban development. Environmental issues are the key. Reducing greenhouse gases, adapt to climate change, minimize urban sprawl, develop compact towns served by public, accessible, safe transport network, conserve renewable resources. Of course, as I told, the economic, social, and institutional dimensions are seen by one and all, and often they get addressed, then and there, sometimes violently, sometimes coolly, sometimes in a subdued manner. But I thought I will just make a couple of points on the environmental issues faced by the cities, with just one example of our city, that's Bengaluru. If you see from 1965 to 2013, the way Bengaluru has grown is indeed alarming. The city had a minimum sprawl of about 55 kilometers in 1965. This is by using the US strategic satellite data, Corona. And if you see the latest, wherein we have used the Indian remote sensing satellite data, the Cartosat, and of course, Dr. Divakar will talk more about use of satellite data for sustainable urban planning. You see the sprawl in the lower left diagram. It is shown in different colors, how the city has been really sprawling. And of course, the sprawl for Bengaluru city, whether you call for good or bad, it is attributed to the I2K boom in 2000. From there, cities started growing exponentially. But one very interesting point I want to bring to your notice is, during 1965 to 1996, whatever sprawl has come in, that has come in the heart of the city, in the core of the city. That means all the open areas of the past, sprawling, single family dwelling kind of Bangalore has been filled up during that period. All the open spaces got occupied. Of course, while city kept spreading in all directions as well. But the most dangerous thing that has happened is the city also has grown vertical. Now, what happens is this vertical growth induces a lot of pressure on the roads, on the pedestrian network, the water supply pipes, the gas distribution, the power distribution. Those things don't change. And parking issues, that's extremely dangerous. So it is wise always to plan distributed settlements connected with good network so that the cityscape should not change. I mean, our friends would know, or we would know, in Switzerland, if you want to go and build a house in a village, the village committee should even clear your elevation and architecture of your house, otherwise you will not be accepted in the community. But we keep changing the cityscape the way we want. So, if you see the next slide, Bengaluru had a lot of lakes because it is sitting on an elevated plateau of about 1,000 meters above mean sea level, and surrounding area drops to about 700 to even 400 meters above mean sea level. And Bengaluru had a lot of lakes connected with the radial drainage system, and we find that of late, about 80 good lakes have been lost by silting or urban encroachment, whatever. And the next one, let me tell you what normally happens to all Indian cities, the water supply scenario. See, Bangalore gets about 1,700 million liters of good water every day. About 300 MLD comes from bore wells, rest from Kaveri, drawn at 400 kilometers above mean sea level and pumped all the way up to 1,000 meters above mean sea level against the gradient. Forget about the pumping cost. But what we do is we pollute about 50% or more than 50% of the water and dump it on the system, on the lakes and drainage system. So we are killing our aquifers. And so the need of the hour is to have distributed sewerage treatment plants, reduce the BOD level to 30 or below, then dump it on the natural system. So reuse, recycle, don't pollute. I mean, they are all the keys. So I thought these are just a couple of issues when we talk of using ICT or modern tool like space. It can be of great help. In fact, the city authorities in Bangalore have been very, very technology savvy. They have used a lot of spatial data and ICT tools for planning, and these are all some of the reports wherein I had an opportunity to get involved personally. And yes, this is my last visual. ICT can help us in many ways in designing management of smart cities in an inclusive, safe, resilient manner, capturing vast amount of data, vast varieties of data, which Professor Bharadwaj has mentioned already about and need to share also. And automation is something, controlled heating, controlled ventilation, lighting, intelligent lighting. So then electric meters, instruments, because it is said, it's all in the public domain, the large number of meters are not monitored. And Bangalore has more than 1 million water tap connections, 50% is non-revenue earning, it is not monitored. These are all a lot of things on the web and in public source. And even for urban infrastructure with respect to security, safety, monitoring, about 1,500 pedestrian deaths were there on Bangalore roads in 2018. And about 270 plus are pedestrians hit by vehicles. Okay, this is from the records of police. So we have to make our roads safe, our roads, so many things. So connectivity, communication, in fact, to me, many times I wonder to see that 500,000 people use metro, Bangalore metro every day, though it is not a pedestrian-friendly city. And near metro, there is no good parking. There is no pedestrian paths. So a lot to improve, but this re-engineering of cities should have been our last option in case we had planned for sustainable cities. but I'm sure that with the help of ICT tools, ICT support, we hope not only we re-engineer our existing cities, but in future we should be more careful. Thank you very much.